Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Welcome back. And before I introduce agenda item 6, I would like to request the Secretary to please take the floor to update you on the outcomes of this morning sessions. Please, the Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, as informed in the program, this morning we had special sessions. First one was on consultative meeting on urban content and national climate action to discuss aligning urban content in national climate goals and policy coherence and multilateral governance and capacity building and technical support. Initially, this special session was prepared as a consultative meeting for Asia-Pacific Regional Support Initiative for implementing NDC in urban areas. However, reflecting the decision and discussion that this session had 2 days ago, the Secretariat revised the points of discussion and facilitated discussions on more broader context of national climate action. And this was followed by engagement space of a member state and partners. We initially prepared 4 different topics of a member state engagement, but most member delegates and representatives attended the engagement space for climate action and sustainable cities. The Secretariat was attending the engagement space as a kind of observer, and we saw our delegates and representatives to share their views, information on national policies. And this was also in parallel with this engagement space. We had a series of a presentation and talks by our development partners, their work on air pollution and ocean and more broader context of environmental management technical assistance program. So with that, let me conclude my brief reporting of a special session this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now call the meeting to order. We will now move to agenda item 6, the adoption of the report of the committee on its 8th session. We will now consider the report as contained in document ESCAP/CED-8/L1. The report contains 2 sections: matters calling for action by the Commission or brought to its attention, and 2, the organizational aspects of the committee. The account of proceedings which will capture the deliberations of the committee will be made available on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024. Factual corrections can be submitted until Wednesday, 30th October 2024. I propose that we go section by section of the document, which has been sent to all members at 10:15 this morning in all 4 languages. I would also like to inform delegates that English language editing of the report will be undertaken by the Secretariat following the adoption of the report. In view of this, distinguished delegates are requested to focus on the substance of the report and to leave the editorial work of correcting any grammatical or typographical errors to the Secretariat. I also request those delegates wishing to make minor changes to the text to read them out at dictation speed. With respect to any major changes, please provide the written text to the Secretariat so that they may enter it on screen for consideration to all delegations. So you can now see the draft report on the screen. So may I propose that we go through the text of the draft report with the aim of adopting it. We will now review the draft report, considering the decisions one by one, noting that all of these have already been reviewed and discussed under the pertinent agenda items, and participants have agreed in principle on its wordings. So we go through the first section, section 1, and on matters brought to the attention of the Commission. There are 7 decisions that have been discussed and agreed upon the last 2 days. Decision 1, the Committee on Environment and Development takes note of the need for localization of the Sustainable Development Goals to enhance sustainable urban development, including by promoting integrated urban planning, strengthening policy and governance, increasing financing and building capacity at the national and local levels, taking into account different national circumstances, capacities and levels of development, and in alignment with national priorities and policies, in order to scale up actions to address the multiple environmental challenges faced by the region, and encourages member states to enhance their national and regional cooperation efforts to support the localization of the Sustainable Development Goals. I will read page by page. So I will go to decision 2, or do you? Okay, I will pause here first then. Is there any members on the floor that would like to, can confirm this, or is there any other views? Okay, I will move on to the decision 2. The Committee on Environment and Development requests the Secretariat, as appropriate within its existing mandate, to continue to promote cooperation at all levels on enabling climate-sensitive urban development as per national priorities and circumstances. The Committee also requests the Technical Expert Group on Environment and Development, as appropriate and within available resources, to consider options for better integration of urban components into national climate strategies and submit its conclusions on the subject to the committee at its 9th session for further consideration and possible action. Is there any members on the floor that wishes to make a comment? I see none. I move to decision 3 on the next page, page 2. The Committee on Environment and Development notes the progress made in implementing the Ministerial Declaration on protecting our planet through regional cooperation and solidarity in Asia and the Pacific, and encourages members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their domestic plans and actions in accordance with national priorities and circumstances, as well as regional cooperation, in taking into account the thematic areas highlighted in the Ministerial Declaration. The committee also invites members and associate members to submit proposals, including on partnerships aimed at accelerating progress. Yes, I see China. You have the floor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. China would like to make some minor amendments to this decision. In the fifth line of decision 3, we would like to change domestic to the word own, enhance their own plans and actions. And the next line, we would like to change the national to word there, in accordance with their priorities and circumstances. Because we think many associate members of ESCAP are not sovereign countries, so we don't think it's appropriate to use such words here to use such words here because there's associate members of ESCAP here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, China. Any other views from the floor? Yes, India, please. And the United States after this.
Madam Chair, just need your indulgence. We need a little time to look at the proposals that have been made just now by one delegation. So we need a few minutes for this.
United States.
Thank you. I just wanted to seek clarification on the final sentence, perhaps from the Secretariat, that the committee is inviting proposals to arrive to the committee. Is that who these proposals should be made to?
Yeah, United States wish the Secretariat to look at the last sentence. The committee also invites members. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. To submit proposals. So the question is to whom? Yeah.
Thank you, this delegate from US. The ministerial declaration, the paragraph 12 of a ministerial declaration encourages the member state and associated members to take actions. There are maybe 5 or 6 subparagraphs. And so this language, this sentence is to, and that paragraph also encourages member states to enhance their regional cooperation. In that connection, this paragraph was suggested. So I'm not sure which delegation also made some amendment in the paragraph, but this partnership, the proposal on such partnership could be submitted to Secretariat, since the Secretariat is responsible for implementing the minister declaration. So this is my understanding, and if there is any delegation wish to provide more guidance, I would be grateful to that. Thank you.
Is United States satisfied?
Yeah, so I just, what I understood is this, if members and associate members are to submit proposals, they should be submitted to the Secretariat. It's probably worth clarifying that there. Thank you.
Okay. The request by India to have more time to review this, is it within now or you would like to come back? You ready? Yes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And regarding the 2 changes proposed, we were just checking the UNGA Resolution 70/1, which is the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and everywhere the terminology used is national priorities and circumstances. We would definitely like to stick to that. As far as their own and domestic, I'm not too sure what is the rationale behind saying own plans and actions vis-a-vis domestic, because the two are completely 2 different things. I mean, I would like to understand the view of the room of the other delegations, because here we are changing the drift completely. So is that something, because we have taken approvals based on what we had earlier. So if we change the connotation, that becomes a little problematic for us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, India. I would like to ask India maybe to respond, to China, sorry, to respond to India's comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I have made myself very clearly just now, because we think many associate members of ESCAP are not sovereign countries, so we don't think it's appropriate to use these words here. I understand the point raised by the delegate from India, because she said it's a terminology from the UNGA resolution. but it's different. It's a different, totally different, because this is ESCAP, and ESCAP has members, associate members. But in the UN headquarters, the members of UN headquarters are all sovereign countries. Let me say that. So I don't think it's appropriate to just copy the terminology from a UNJ resolution here in our ESCAP document or ESCAP decision. Thank you.
Thank you, China. Is there any other comments from the floor? Japan, yes, you have the floor.
Well, from my understanding, the verb is also encourages. It's not a very strong verb. In addition, I do think domestic and national are just standard languages that you use even in this sort of case. And I'm sure the Secretary has plenty of past decisions or, resolution language that refer to this type of context that we can draw on, but I do think that the standard language here is domestic and national. I do think it's clearer. And I appreciate the addition of to the Secretariat, which clarifies. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. Yes, we have from. Yes, please. I can't see you very well.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, sorry, sir.
Thank you so much. We also would like to echo with the presentation by India and now Japan that in different documents of ESCAP, we saw the use of domestic, particularly the word domestic and national in every sphere. So if we want to change such kind of issues, then we need to change all the documents and others. So I think it is well understood from the word domestic and national. I think we should stick to the previous connotation, and I would also like to support the small amendment by USA to make it much more clear to the Secretariat the proposals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bangladesh, for your comment. Can we come to a consensus on this? There's views from on two sides. China proposing to use the word own instead of domestic, and to use the word their instead of national. And the other views from India, Japan, and Bangladesh on retaining the word domestic and national. Can we have a consensus? Can China accept the decisions or the proposal or the comments made by the other members? Is there any other members that wishes also to provide their comment? Yes, China.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To keep the so-called national priority and circumstances with the terminology of UNJ resolution, I think we should change the formulation members and associate members of ESCAP to member states, so we can keep this terminology aligned with the decision 1. Because in decision 1, we say that the committee encourages member states to enhance their national and regional cooperation efforts to support the localization of SDGs. If we can change members and associate members to member states, we can go along with the domestic plans and actions, and also the national priority and circumstances. I think these are our complexity.
So I would like to ask the other members whether we can agree to the proposal by China to be consistent with Decision 1, where we, I think, encourages member states and omit the word associate members. Is that something that is acceptable now by, especially the other members that have made their comments earlier? United States, would you like to say something?
Is there a precedent for using that term? Well, excuse me. Is there a precedent for substituting for using member states of ESCAP to enhance their domestic? Has that been used before?
I would like to ask the Secretary to read on a ministerial declaration which probably have a reflection on where there's a precedent on using these words. Yeah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The ministerial declaration adopted by last committee session has this paragraph: considering different national circumstances, capacities, and levels of development, and respecting national policies and priorities, we, the ministers and representatives of members and associate members of the Commission, resolve. So, thank you.
So does the members, there's a clarity given by the Secretary on the ministerial declaration on item 12, I think, where such precedents of reflecting the words members, member states, members and associate members, sorry. Yeah. And also the national priorities and circumstances. Yes, Bangladesh.
Thank you, Chair. Can we go to decision 1 again so that we can see whether where the member states are used, what is the difference between the two? Encourages member states.
Yeah, so you can see in decision 1, right, which is in the second last line. Yeah.
So can here, my question is to my distinguished delegate from China, that can we change here the members and associate members to be at par with the ministerial declaration?
We already adopt actually decision 1, so.
Now there is an issue of, making a co-relation with decision 1 and decision 3. And as we will adopt that whole decision as a whole, then we also have the opportunity to change. So, Chair, if you kindly.
Yes, we can very quickly reflect decision 1 and 3 if the request by members now. I would like to request members to also do the same so that we could align the decisions. I would like to request members to propose a consistency between decision 1 and 2 and which is the preferred language. With regards to decision 3, if you were to go back to decision 3, because if reflecting on the Secretary's explanation on the ministerial declaration, which already mentioned the wordings of national priorities and circumstances. And with regards to, so that's already a precedent in using such language. And here the proposal from China on the use of the word own against domestic, we actually have the word their already, So if that's to enhance their plans and actions, which is already in reference to the members and associate members. Okay. So now I really would, okay. There's a view from United Kingdom, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We may need to slightly shorten the name on these placards. Can I just beg your indulgence to sort of scroll down and look at the other decisions? Because if I've got the right version up on my computer, then each of them are showing members and associate members in 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm inclined to say that on decision 3, we should also just be saying members and associate members. We're doing that in all of the rest of the decisions. And not just in this document, in all of the, when we're trying to scroll back on all of the other committees. So I'm not sure why we're dismissing that we have associate members. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. So once again, yes, China.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also checked the ministerial declaration we adopted in 2022, and there's also formulation like member states. So member states and member and associate members are both in this ministerial declaration. So I don't think is there any difficulty for other delegates to accept the member states here. And I think this is our maximum flexibility to change members and associate members to just the member states, and we can keep all such national or domestic words here. Thank you.
So is that acceptable to all the other delegations? The proposal by China is that we just retain the word member states. If there's no objection, can we accept this decision 3? Okay, so the word domestics comes back, right? Yes, okay. And national comes back. So decision 3 is the Committee on Environment and Development notes the progress made in implementing the Ministerial Declaration on Protecting Our Planet through regional cooperation and solidarity in Asia and the Pacific, and encourages member states of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their domestic plans and actions in accordance with national priorities and circumstances, as well as regional cooperation, taking into account the thematic areas highlighted in the Ministerial Declaration. The committee also invites members and associate members to submit proposals to the Secretariat, including on partnerships aimed at accelerating progress. Okay. Yes, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies, I think we are at a standstill here because we do not agree with the removal of associate members. We will then be in the situation where in every next decision we will be removing mentions of associate members and then not recognising them within this document. So we'd like to insist on including associate members here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, India.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pondering over the discussion that we are having here, we believe that that formulation, change in formulation, is also a very legalistic technical matter. I'm not too sure if this is confined only to this committee or this set of decisions. So if this is something that we need to deliberate upon, not sure if today's forum is the correct forum. We need to probably follow for the time being what ESCAP has been doing and take the discussion outside this room and come up with a solution which will be acceptable to everybody. Thank you.
Yes, the For decision 3, I think it has been deliberated by the Secretary that if we were to include, we understand the view of China where associate members do not have national plans, and I think that's why the strong view on not using the word national. So in response to United Kingdom's view on decision 4 and 5, and 6 as well, where the mention of members and associate members, the decision of 4, 5, 6 doesn't have a reflection on national plans or priorities. So if this is where I think decision 3 and has no direct implications, I think, on if we were to adopt the words, to remove the word associate members from decision 3, decision 4, 5, 6 probably can still remain. So yes, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that very helpful explanation. May I suggest that if even in last week's committee, we have this line of in accordance with national priorities and circumstances right at the bottom of the decision paragraph rather than right next to the mention of members and associate members. So if that's the case, if it's moved the in accordance with national priorities and circumstances, moved right to the end of the paragraph, does that then make it acceptable?
Can you propose the text actually?
Yes, so the suggestion is, if it's amenable to others, that the removal of the phrase in accordance with national priorities and circumstances, that clause, is just put right at the bottom of the paragraph, so that it just applies to everything at the top. But I may be wrong about that.
Yeah, because the second sentence is about proposals, yeah. Yes. Yes, India?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You are absolutely right. If we push it down, that doesn't really work because it has to come after we talk about our domestic plans and actions. The other option, I'm not sure if that will work, just an attempt, is to say in accordance with their priorities and circumstances, comma, as applicable, as well as, so that the concern raised by the distinguished delegate of China also gets probably addressed. Thank you.
Is with this suggestion by India, are you also suggesting that we can maintain the word members and associate members? And is this acceptable to China? Yes, Russia Federation.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Ура, у нас есть перевод. Мы не можем согласиться с предложением Индии о внесении дополнительного определителя as applicable. Спасибо.
Thank you, Russia. Proposal by Russia is to delete the word as applicable. Is that acceptable to India if we do not have the word as applicable? To maintain the word members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their plans and actions in accordance with priorities and circumstances as well as regional cooperation.
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I may have your indulgence, can someone read it again because I'm a bit confused here.
Okay, I will read it again. Because the Committee on Environment and Development notes the progress made in implementing the Ministerial Declaration on protecting our planet through regional cooperation and solidarity in Asia and the Pacific, and encourages members and associate members, that is not a strike, yes, right, of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their plans and actions in accordance with priorities and circumstances, as well as regional cooperation, taking into account the thematic areas highlighted in the Ministerial Declaration. So I think the rest are, the committee also invite members and associate members to submit proposals to the Secretariat, including on partnerships aimed at accelerating progress. Yes, India.
Madam Chair, I would like to reiterate that we cannot drop the word domestic or national from this particular formulation because these are standard formulations. We do not want to renegotiate that. Thank you.
So the proposal by China is, if we do not drop the word domestic and national, is that we drop the word associate members. And the view from United Kingdom just now is that we should retain associate members. So I think that is where we are at this juncture, where we need some consensus. But as I mentioned just now, decision 456 is actually not relatable to, it will not affect decision 4 and 5 if we were to also mention just members here, right? Yeah. That's okay. In view of, yes, UK, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think firstly, if we could remove the suggestion right at the end to move the clause, we can withdraw our suggestion on that. I think my understanding is if we say just member states, then we can keep domestic and national. And if that's the case, and that applies just to this decision, because the language works on the other decisions, then that's fine for us. So you can remove our objection on the removal of associate members if the then inclusion of domestic and national remains. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. So is that acceptable to all other members? India?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is a difficult compromise, but if that is the only way forward at this juncture, we will go ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, India. So if there's no further views? China, is this agreeable to you? Yes, so now encourages member states, and subsequently we keep domestic and we keep national. The proposal is.
I would like to check. So now we can change members and social members to member states, right? So we can return all elements here.
Thank you very much.
No,
Oh?
sorry.
You want?
Sorry, Madam Chair. Can you give me a second to
Okay.
check with my capital? Thank you.
All right. So can I propose that we move on to the next decision and we allow China to actually check back with the capital? Okay. So we move on to decision 4. Yes, China.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt you again because I see the same situation in the decision 4. So if we can solve both situations in decision 3 and decision 4 together, so I can maybe check with my capital one time.
All right, thank you very much, China.
Thank
We
you.
take note of your concern also for decision 4. But I will also move on for other members to give their views. Decision 4, as earlier agreed or proposed to be agreed, is the Committee on Environment and Development encourages members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commissions for Asia and the Pacific to enhance national climate strategies and request the Secretariat to continue to support the actions of members and associate members upon request and within existing mandates and available resources to mitigate and adapt to climate change while avoiding duplication of efforts. So China, if you would clarify, the word that you are referring as similar to decision 3 is the word national. Is that? So you would like to, can you read? The proposal is to omit the word national for decision 4.
Thanks, Madam Chair. At first, I would like to change the word national to there, but according to the discussion under decision 3, another option here is to change members and associate members to member states. But I think the best way is to change the word national here, the same rationale as the amendments in decision 3. Thank you.
So the proposal is to change the word national to there. Any other views from other members? So I do not see any other members wishing to take the floor. So can we adopt decision 4? Okay, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair. Can you please just give our delegation a few minutes? Because I think, as we said in our previous intervention, part of our comfort in accepting the amendment in Decision 3 was to leave Decision 4 as it was originally, rather than this new amendment. So we're going to need some time to work through this, please. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you, okay, just for clarity, with the proposal by China, if we were to read the wordings again, it allows the members and associate members to enhance their climate strategies. So, so I think if we are reading these wordings, it does actually. It is actually quite well in sync with the intention of ensuring that we have as many people developing their own strategies. We will allow United Kingdom to also time for this so that we can move on. But is there any other members that would like to take on any other part of this decision? Okay, if not, we will move on to decision 5, and then we will come back to decision 3 and 4 again. On decision 5, the Committee on Environment and Development notes the key role of the Asia-Pacific Urban Forum in facilitating cooperation on sustainable urban development in the region with the involvement of multi-stakeholders, and invites members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to consider submitting a proposal to host the 9th Asia Pacific Urban Forum to be held in 2027. Any members on the floor that wish to comment on this? I see none. So we accept and adopt Decision 5. We move on to Decision 6. The Committee on Environment and Development welcomes the initial discussions of the Technical Expert Group on Environment and Development and invites members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific who have not yet done so to nominate experts to membership in the Technical Expert Group in accordance with the terms of reference adopted at the 7th session of the committee, and request the Secretariat to clarify the theme and topics of discussions at least 42 days ahead of such meetings to enable members and associate members to decide on the participation of the appropriate experts beforehand. Any members that wish to make a statement on this? I see none, so we adopt Decision 6. So we now move to Decision 7. The Committee on Environment and Development takes note of the launch of the Asia-Pacific SDG localization platform developed by the Secretariat as a medium for sharing best practices and exchanging knowledge on localization, voluntary local reviews, and local climate action, and invites all interested parties to utilize it. Any members that wish to comment on this Decision 7? I see none, so we adopt Decision 7. So we now go back to Decision 3 and Decision 4. Are the members ready to comment or make their statement after referring to the capital? United Kingdom?
Apologies, Chair, we're still just seeking advice from our capital on this. Thank you.
Any others? Decision 4? Yes, Australia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering in the interim, while some of the delegations get advice, whether we could perhaps clear the part suggested at first by the US. We would also like to lend our support to that clarification. Thank you.
The comment by US is to be clearer on the submission of the proposals, and here the Secretary clarified that the proposals is to be submitted to the Secretariat. So I think that's the addition word just now, to the Secretariat. Yeah. Can we clear to the Secretariat? The second sentence. The committee also invites members and associate members to submit proposals to the Secretariat, including on partnerships aimed at accelerating progress. So we are now pending the first sentence on members and associate members, as well as the use of domestic and national. On the proposal by India as applicable, and which has not been agreed by Russia, the view on this, India? Russia has proposed that we omit the word as applicable.
Madam Chair, that was a compromise proposal so that we could retain everything as was proposed. If there is no appetite for it, we have no particular views on that.
Thank you, India. So we are still pending decision 3 on members and associate members that will have an implication on the word domestic as well as national. Right, okay. So is China or United Kingdom, China ready? China still stands with the 2 member states, right? Okay. Maybe we will move on to decision 4 while we wait for decision 3. For decision 4, if I were to read it again, the Committee on Environment and Development encourages members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their climate strategies and request the Secretariat to continue to support the actions of members and associate members upon request and within existing mandates and available. I think with this proposal and the insertion of the word "their" instead of national, it also allows those without climate strategies to actually have one, or to prepare or to enhance them. So if we were to read the sentence with the proposal by China, it actually is probably this is something more acceptable. Yes, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we suggest taking a slightly different approach between 3 and 4. So in decision 3, if you would be able to scroll up to show decision 3. So in decision 3, because this is in reference to the ministerial declaration and hearing the views of the delegation from India and therefore sticking to the language of the ministerial declaration, we suggest we keep domestic and national and therefore leave just member states here. But then in decision 4, if we scroll down, please. In decision 4, we suggest you take the different approach of including the mention of associate members, but in this instance, we replace national with their. So therefore, you might not be taking the same approach in both decisions, but you are meeting the concerns around 1, the ministerial declaration, and then 2, the concerns of the delegation from China. We hope that is acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. So is this acceptable to China?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This time I would like to speak in Chinese. 我们感谢英国代表提出的这一建设性的意见。我们可以接受在决定3和决定4里面采取不同的方法。在决定3当中，我们同意保留 domestic 和 national， 将成员和准成员改为成员国。在决定4当中，将 national 改为 their。 谢谢主席。
Thank you very much, China. So I think it has been agreed according to the draft before us. For decision 3, can we go to 3 first? Then we are in order. So as displayed before you, with the views from China as well as United Kingdom, the Committee on Environment and Development notes the progress made in implementing the Ministerial Declaration on protecting our planet through regional cooperation and solidarity in Asia and the Pacific, and encourages member states of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their domestic plans and actions in accordance with national priorities and circumstances, as well as regional cooperation, taking into account the thematic areas highlighted in the Ministerial Declaration. Can the Secretariat, yes. If there's is there any other views from the floor? I see none, so decision 3 is adopted. Thank you. Decision 4. The Committee on Environment and Development encourages members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific to enhance their climate strategies and requests the Secretariat to continue to support the actions of members and associate members upon request and within existing mandates and available resources to mitigate and adapt to climate change while avoiding duplication of efforts. Is there any other views from the floor? I see none. So decision 4 is adopted. Thank you. So moving on to the report, the draft report that has been provided by the Secretariat. On page 2 is item 2, section 2, organization, and A2. So is there any comments on that? I will just move on very quickly. I will not be reading this. So you may comment as as we go through the pages. And then on B, on attendance, the Secretariat has made a comment here that Uzbekistan is not in attendance. So we omit the word Uzbekistan. Item 4, item 5, item 6, item 7, and item 8. So on item 8, on the 4th line, to reflect Uzbekistan's non-presence is actually 30 members. Then we move on to item 9, which is continued on to, which is on the last, for page 3. And then on item C, election of officers. Item D on the agenda. And item E on other events. And that's continued on the next page 5. Then we have part 3, which is the account of proceedings. Is there any other comments from the floor? as to the draft report on part 2 to part 3, from pages 2 to pages 5. I see none. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, this concludes the review of the report. I propose that the report be adopted and submitted to the 81st session of the Commission in 2025 for its consideration. Are there any final comments from all members? I see no comments. I therefore declare the report has been adopted. I will now give the floor to Mr. Sang Min Nam, Director of the Environment and Development Division of ESCAP, to provide his closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Excellency, distinguished delegates and representatives. On behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to thank for your participation, collaboration, and contribution to the successful deliberation and conclusion of this 8th session of the Committee on Environmental Development. The Secretariat has tried to set this committee session to facilitate substantive discussions on our common challenges to enhance coordinated action. To this end, we brought together experts and representatives for 6 roundtable and panel discussion. We hope these roundtables and panels enriched the substantive discussion and deliberation of this session. The Secretariat has aimed to make this committee as a milestone in advancing our regional agenda of cooperation. We will continue to make our utmost efforts to effectively and efficiently implement the decisions of this session on the Secretariat work on SDG localization and climate change, including sensitive urban development. The Secretariat has stands ready to support decisions encouraging members and associated members to enhance plans and actions, as well as regional cooperation, in line with the thematic areas of the Minutes Declaration adopted at the last session. The Secretariat has also sought to make this committee serve as a platform for members and stakeholders to share their experiences and identify areas of collaboration. We are grateful to members and partners who co-hosted 5-side events on localization, smarter cities, air quality, low-carbon cities, and water cooperation. I hope the semi-informal event of engagement of members and stakeholders was also useful to exchange information and view related to your national policies. The Secretariat has also looks forward to receiving expression of interest in hosting the 9th Asia-Pacific Urban Forum, scheduled for late 2027, and nominations for the Technical Expert Group on Environmental Development. Distinguished delegates and representatives, many of you have mentioned the financial constraints in advancing national goals and policies on sustainable development, climate change, and various environmental challenges. Many of you have also highlighted the role of regional cooperation in advancing our common agenda. However, we too face resource constraints in scaling up our regional cooperation. A key solution to addressing these constraints lies in partnership, as well as in innovating how we work. In this regard, the Secretariat is expanding partnership and mobilizing joint resources, as showcased during this session, including initiatives such as the Asia-Pacific Localization Platform. In this regard, we request the members and associated members to initiate a partnership for regional cooperation as encouraged by this Decision 3. Lastly, I would like to request the continued support of our members and associated members in constantly innovating the way we work, making our efforts and regional cooperation more efficient and effective in responding to various emerging and urgent challenges. Thank you again for your participation and collaboration and contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sang Min Nam, for your closing remarks and your kind words. Indeed, I totally agree. Collaboration, partnership is the way forward in accelerating our progress. So, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I declare the 8th session of the Committee on Environment and Development closed.